guilt, with disappointment, with shameful rebellion, I make my quiet moves. 2 of us are in this bed tonight, but soon we will each sleep alone. I lay here, on the quiet side of the bed, while from the other side spew unspeakable words, at least less horrible than the actions that accompanied them moments ago. While you say, "Fuck you, you are so selfish," a speech I have heard many times, I think about tomorrow, how I will go to some nearby cafe with my computer and cruise Craigslist and Zillow and find a new place to call home. For about 5 years, the person beside me in this bed was my home. It's hard to imagine now as he slanders my character and threatens to break more things. But I remember that time we drove up to Cougar and swam in the reservoir, laughing so much and kind of drunk because of it, and you said you love me. Or when we just stayed home, cuddling on the couch, binge watching one show or another, and the words, "I love you," fell out of our mouths so easily then. But I also remember the first time it happened, when I came home from work a bit too late, walked in the door, and an inexplicable jealousy ignited an unfathomable rage that turned into violence, shattered the glass frame of a proximal painting, and was headed for me next. I ran back out the door, but with no money to make real moves, I returned to the house the next day and was inundated with the apologies and promises that have become so familiar to me now I can almost recite them. "I'm so sorry, baby. I don't know what came over me. You just came home late," or "You were looking at that guy," or "Why did you let Mike buy you a drink?" or "I know your friends want you to break up with me," or "You touched Chandler's arm. I just didn't know what to think. But baby, I promise it'll never happen again." Of course, it did. And each outburst was worse than the last. And the worse they got, the more compliant I became. I stopped running away. I stopped calling my friends or even telling them about him. I created distance between myself and my male friends. Later, I distanced myself from my female friends too. Soon, he became the center of my world. And though that can sound romantic, in a significant way for us, it was not. For the first 4 years of our relationship, I learned how to habituate forgiveness, how to play along and play house in the home we made, the same home he habitually destroyed. I learned how to surrender myself, thinking that our love, could salvage our relationship. For about 4 years, I believed that our love was worth withstanding the abuse. Then, one Sunday morning, I felt a kind of restlessness. And faint, I was used to its presence, like a shadow of anxiety that lived with me like a cat. But this morning, it was more like a dog that needed out. So I frantically perused the Eugene Weekly, looking for some physical outlet, when I saw an ad for a free women's self-defense class. Starting in 30 minutes, it was both affordable and immediate. So I quickly got dressed and attended the workshop. And the Warrior Sisters of Eugene, Oregon changed my life. Yeah. At the workshop, I practiced alongside like 8 other women, verbal self-defense and physical. We practiced using our diaphragms to say no. We practiced taking up space instead of conceding it. The gym studio echoed with, "Good job, you got this, nice, punch harder." It felt good. Because self-defense represents a physical, very concrete form of self-care. And I learned all about it, barefoot on the spongy black mats and sweating in a martial arts gym. Honestly, the last place anyone who knows me would ever expect to find me, and certainly not where I would expect to find me. So I returned to the Warrior Sisters every Sunday following and felt myself growing stronger and stronger as the image of my aggressor grew clearer and clearer. In learning how to say no, how to not concede my space, I began to acknowledge that I was in an abusive relationship and moves had to be made. Obviously, I didn't communicate with him that I was attending these workshops, let alone that I was preparing to leave him. This was a matter of safety, as well as logistical preparation. It took time, about a year, to develop more lines of defense so that I wasn't just physically prepared, I was also financially prepared, emotionally prepared. Emotional was the hardest, of course. I knew that I would lose this love. More accurately, I knew that I would leave this love. And as I laid next to him in our bed, I felt that this was the last time. And it made me tired from all the work I had already done from this relationship, all the work I now had to do for myself. It also made me guilty that I had been planning for this moment, and shameful that we could ever get here in the first place. I really wish it wasn't this way. I wish I could have said goodbye to you better, that I could have told you how much of you I loved, what sweetness of your soul will linger in mine forever, why it was so hard for me to leave, how badly I wanted to stay. But for the first time in 5 years, I was going to choose me. I roll over, away from him, thinking about the future. And I smile, because already I know, I feel, I am my own.